And I'm back. Sorry to have disappeared from my video reviews for so long, but I felt that I needed a bit of a break from it, and that break ended up being longer than I thought. Part of the reason is that I want to spend more time writing about urban gardening and environmental issues, which I've started doing at my new website, youshouldbegardening.com, which I invite you all to check out. But in the meantime, I'm still writing reviews, and the best place to find them is on my Facebook and Twitter pages, so I hope you'll follow along there since I don't plan to do as many video reviews as I had in the past. But in any case, I apologize for disappearing like that, and I want to thank all of you who wrote to me asking about what was going on and if new reviews would be coming soon. So I thought that a good movie to come back with would be Life Itself, a documentary you can find on iTunes, Amazon, and Video on Demand. It's about arguably the most important film critic in history, Roger Ebert, which also gives me a chance to talk a bit about what it means to me to be a film critic. So check it out, and thanks again for all the time and support you've given me over the years. I'll see you soon.
Shaz was probably more life-altering for him than his TV show. She really, really liked him for what he was and not who he was.
She changed his life immeasurably. She changed his personality. Hey, I was 8 months pregnant and Roger grabbed the cab in front of me in New York. It's not that kind of guy now.
For most movie critics living today, Pulitzer Prize-winning critic Roger Ebert is their patron saint. While I rarely read his reviews, I know that he's influenced me more than I know, starting from when I was a little kid watching At the Movies with Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, which I still think is the perfect format for a movie review show and probably contributed to my wanting to be a critic in the first place. The documentary Life Itself traces Ebert's life and extraordinary career while also chronicling the final 4 months of his life before he died after a long battle with cancer that took his ability to speak but supercharged his compulsion to write. Based on Ebert's book of the same name, Life Itself traces Ebert's career as a born writer who eventually became a reporter at the Chicago Sun-Times where, at the age of 25, he was made their movie critic, then an unglamorous job, when the previous critic quit. But Ebert's talent and intelligence quickly elevated the reviews, eventually earning him a Pulitzer Prize, to the point that someone got the then novel idea of starting a movie review TV show, pairing Ebert with Chicago Tribune critic Gene Siskel. It's this part of the film, detailing the evolution of the show and Ebert and Siskel's relationship, that I found the most fascinating and fun since footage and interviews, including the first ever interview with Siskel's widow, reveal that the enmity and differences between Siskel and Ebert went even deeper than they appeared on their show that was famous for the pair's testy exchanges. The two were an odd couple in every way, but their dynamic led to them becoming the most famous and powerful film critics in history, and eventually the closest of friends. A journey that could make a great film on its own. And filmmakers, several of whom are interviewed, recognized Ebert not as a scourge or a scold, but a lover of film who only wanted them to do their best work. Throughout the film, Life Itself returns to 2013 as Ebert continues his work and convalesces from an injury, only to learn that his cancer has spread, giving him only months to live. As the end approaches, we're given an intimate look at his relationships with Ebert's beloved wife, Chaz, her family, and the meaning they brought to his life. Life Itself is directed by Hoop Dreams director Steve James, who attributes the success of his film to Siskel and Ebert's early and repeated support. But Life Itself is not a puff piece, examining both the celebrated and unflattering aspects of Ebert's personality. From his intelligence and writing skills, which were obvious at an early age, to his reputation for being an arrogant, sometimes mean attention hog. It's a terrific film about the man, loving movies, and the role of honest criticism that you don't need to be a critic to enjoy, though it inevitably leads this critic to think about why I do what I do. I don't think of myself as a disciple of Ebert, but his influence on me is undeniable. When I was still a little kid, Ebert showed me that movies should be enjoyed in context for what they are, not in comparison to an alleged golden age or an idea of what movies should be, and that movies could be art, yet art that could be enjoyed and understood by everyone, provided they were done well. He was intellectual yet not condescending, with a populist streak that ran through all his work, something that I relate to and probably unconsciously emulate. That's because I see my reviews as not being about me knowing more about movies than you or telling you how to think, but simply as an attempt to explain clearly why I feel the way I do about a movie while being honest about my biases and shortcomings. After all, I'm not a movie expert or someone trying to be what I think a critic is supposed to be, but simply a guy who loves movies and loves talking about them. But above all else, I share a belief that Ebert states early in Life Itself, that, quote, movies are like a machine that generates empathy, unquote. Movies are the most powerful and accessible storytelling device that humans have created, possessing a unique power to educate and enlighten, whether it's through presenting information, letting you into the lives of people different from you, or by putting a character you relate to in a situation you've shared or maybe never experienced. By doing this, movies can challenge your beliefs and preconceptions, make you feel less alone, or at least provide viewers with a shared experience that can spark a conversation based on each individual's unique interpretation of it. And it's only through empathy and discussion that we'll be able to put aside our differences, emphasize what connects us, and make the world a better place. These might be lofty ideas for a guy who runs his mouth about movies, but Roger Ebert showed that talking about movies can be a pretty wonderful thing. And if you don't believe me, life itself will almost definitely change your mind. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a ReThink Review.